don't even have words yet. You surprised me with all of this, the sweater included.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Oh my God. Oh my God, my face already hurts. My kids are older now, but when they were younger, they watched a show called Any Other Parents in Here? Phineas and Ferb. And
Yes.
oh my God, that song, was that your inspiration?
Phineas and Ferb.
Oh my
Exactly.
God. Cannot even. Oh my God. I'm dying. Jason, you were not in that sweater 30 seconds ago either.
You didn't think I had it in me, did you? Like I showed up in my black, no music, no idea what to do. It's the holidays, right?
It is the holidays, apparently, according to my house.
Hey, how do you like that music?
I was getting, I still am speechless. I was getting a little nostalgic with the first song, and then and then we shifted gears right into that. It's really good.
Hey, once in a while I can do DJ work.
Oh my God. Meetup 288, says Bryce.
Meetup 288. Happy Friday, everyone. December 19th. Happy holidays. I hope everyone has had a great week. Brad's in the house. Rex is in the house. Let us know you're in the house, please, or we're gonna have to do some more music. Uh, Jesse's
Please.
here, Megan's here, Rachel's here, Bryce is here, uh,
Whew.
Leah's crying, Dave's here, Sarika, Dorothy. Awesome, awesome, good group. It's a little
Ah,
smaller, like people are off, but they
yep.
had no idea what the F they missed.
We're gonna have to replay this one next week, maybe.
We
Pays
may.
to be on time, Laurel.
Yeah,
Tis.
for those of you late, tell them what they missed. No, so how's your week,
Oh,
Jess? What's going on? How's everyone doing? Red, yellow, green. It's kind of weird because it's on the sweater, right?
red
But
and green. I think I'm red and green today.
you're kind of a mix of red and green.
Sure. I'm Christmassy red and green.
Ah, green, 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 red and green. Love it. We just had we have, JC, our executive producer, is on holiday, and we have an amazing executive producer, fill in Leah, who's kind of like
Our
oh,
OG.
she's the OG. That's exactly. She's like the OG of the meetup. So it's good to have her. It was fun to see her in the green room.
Yeah.
Sharon's here, um, from White, Minnesota. It's hardly green, that's for sure. You know.
Yeah.
Well, have we had the weirdest weather? Not
Oh
to
my
be,
God.
I mean, I don't know about anyone else, but like we had 45 degrees, we had a rainstorm, we had a thunderstorm, we had an ice storm. It's a little hard.
Yeah. It's a proper winter, I will say that. Cold and snowy, but it's going to be pretty mild next week, so I guess we can't complain too much.
Yeah, how's hot yoga?
Hot yoga was good. I can
It was
never
good.
convince anybody to come with me to hot yoga and warrior sculpt and all the ridiculous stuff I do. It was good. I can't even.
What? It's
Except that the Friday instructor, I like all of my instructors, but the Friday instructor is not my favorite. She's a little fast and frantic, like that music. I come out like a little razzled, not zen.
for those people that have never been here before, I
Yes.
am sure they're like, what the heck did I
What
just join?
is going
Right?
on? We get that a
Yes.
lot. Yeah.
So, episode 288, we started this meetup the day after COVID became a thing. We've been doing it almost every single Friday ever since, 288 episodes. Coming up on big number 300 next year, which is going to be big, big, big. So, Laurel said veterans ask the same question. Like, what are we doing here?
Oh,
Interesting. We have to up our game a little bit for 2026, I guess, Jess, huh?
I was thinking about that. You know how we have bits? We're not all
Yeah.
that formal with our bits. We do it all started with how are you?
How
And
are
then
you? Green, yellow, red.
perennial. Yep.
Right.
And we do the one big thing, which I love. I love seeing everybody else's and hearing everybody else's one big thing. Do we need any new bits for
You think we
20?
need a new bit?
I don't know. I mean, I'll let that marinate with the community. You tell us. If you listen to podcasts and other shows, like there's other bits we can do. We could sort of like read the headlines from the week or nah.
The problem with the bits is that we have amazing guests that are
I
waiting in the
know.
green room that we have to get to. But
True.
we do have another bit, and I beg you guys to all participate in this one,
Yes.
which is OBT, one big thing. What's one big thing that's happened to you this week? Uh,
Mm,
whether it be something that you did personally, whether it was something at work, whether it was a conversation you had, whether it's getting ready for something, like your one big thing, and give it your all. It's the last OBT. I'm sure you're going to have one big things for 2026, but it's your one big thing. Last chance for OBT 2025.
mm. You could even do
Yes.
it for like the year if you want. Like
Yeah.
if you
What's your one
haven't
big
had
thing
a
for the
chance to
year?
process 2025 yet. Jason, I'm going to share something that I started drafting this morning, and it is kind of my version of one big thing for the year, and for diverse daisies in particular. So at the end of the year,
Not everyone knows diverse daisies.
yes. So Diverse Daisies is a local Minneapolis-based nonprofit that I lead. We've been around for 13 years. I've been leading it for the last five. And we're local because we're activity-based. We're programming for girls. It's a nonprofit youth development group for every girl to belong and to grow. And we provide monthly opportunities, experiences, things to expose the girls to the community, to mentors, to new opportunities, that kind of thing. And at the end of the year, I produce a year of impact report. I think I stole it from somebody. I think the Anne Bancroft Foundation does something similar, and I love it. So I started drafting it this morning. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I just started pulling my numbers together, my KPIs. But I want to read the opening because, like even just creating this report to read out and share to everybody, it just makes me reflect on the reason we actually do stuff like this. So I'm just going to read the beginning. Here's what I've created so far. A letter from the president. That's me. Maybe I won't start that way. That sounds very formal. Year of Impact Report. Diverse Daisies exists because belonging changes lives. This year in Minneapolis, 70 girls found a place where they could be curious, brave, creative, loud, quiet, strong, uncertain, still fully accepted. They explored new skills, new spaces, and new versions of themselves. Our mission is simple and profound to give every girl a place to belong and a place to grow. In practice, that means designing experiences around our values: empowerment, friendship, diversity and inclusion, teamwork, communication, community, and commitment, and trusting girls to rise to the moment when given the space, encouragement, and care to do it. This year, they did exactly that. 70 girls served, 12 newly recruited daisies, 11 pillar experiences, two former daisies elevated to alumni volunteer roles, paying it forward to the next generation. One long ago daisy returned, reconnecting with members and practicing her budding photography skills at our events. One new grant and multiple repeat community and corporate supporters. Blah, blah, blah. That one big thing for Diverse Daisies makes my whole year. And now I have to look at the chat and catch up with everybody else's.
Jess, that's amazing. That's such a great one for as a way to end the year based on everything that you've put into it. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for so much sharing that. There's some great ones in here. Jackie said being on the call today. Have not been able to
Oh,
join most of the year. I thought I had to join today since I knew you'd be closing out the year. I've missed these calls and how powerful and positive they are. Need to make this a priority in 2026. That's awesome. Jackie, thank you for being here. Brad went to an event for H Core about human-centered AI with luminaries like John Hagel and Gary Bowl. Love that. Uh, Leah put up Christmas lights in her new house this week, which is amazing.
having
Trip
all
to
her
South,
firsts in her new house.
I know, trip to South America, four interviews with a company this week, built an amazing team at Arist. I completely agree with that, David. You have. David Feinerman, great interview, or went to a job interview a group interview, booked flights for a major birding trip. Opal got an amazing offer from a vendor.
No.
Dorothy,
Helpful.
yeah, I'm just skipping over it before Jess
I
gets
know.
too into questions. Dorothy demonstrated amazing patience. I love these. Thank you for sharing.
Mm,
Love value-based leadership, something to lift all that you share each week. Thank you, James, for saying that and being here. Uh, this week got invited to a destination wedding in Spain for spring of 2026.
that's
Love that.
fun.
These are great. You know, I
Wow.
have so many. Welrose prepared all my Christmas gifts for my giant family.
Oh,
Uh, Welrose does some work with us behind the scenes, and Welrose sent an amazing picture of a lot of those presents. She's definitely going to have a Merry Christmas.
wow.
Mark focused on health goals and going into 2026, buying lots more skinny clothes. Mark, I saw you on Facebook. You look awesome. Uh,
Wow.
yes, you look amazing. So, congratulations on that. My one big thing was just something I did this morning. And it was just it's not that big of a thing, but it's something that I wanted to do because holidays are always interesting times, at least for me. They've always been interesting times for me and my family because family members, whether they be old, young, in the middle, sometimes look for questions to bring up at a table. And I
Yes.
decided to record a
Small
podcast.
talk.
Yes, small talk, or it might, small talk, but the small talk can turn into really, really impactful talk,
Yeah.
both positive and negative. And I've witnessed it over my life where someone will ask a question like, Jason, how's your job? And you're kind of like, okay, how do I answer this?
Yeah.
Or Ben, how's school? Alex, have you figured out where you're going to school yet? And those moments when people, Jess, how are your kids?
Mm,
Opal, you finally get a new job.
yeah.
I'm just playing. But all that stuff, you guys, it creates anxiety as well.
Hmm.
And, you know, there's a lot of things going on in the world right now. And I only talked about things that were related to HR, related to careers, related to jobs, related to AI. But I wanted to record something that you could share as a gift with your family, even. So that, if you're trying to figure out what to talk about or you're waiting for the weird aunt to show up after four glasses of wine, sorry, I'm
Hmm.
just playing here, or the mom who doesn't know how to ask questions, maybe they can listen to it. And maybe it gives you something as a group to talk about. That was what I wanted to do as my one big thing, just because I think there's so much uncertainty in the world right now. As I said in the podcast, I think the map has changed. Not every one of us knows how to navigate it. And I think it creates a lot of, as Dorothy said, pressure and anxiety that I don't actually think we should experience over the holidays. I think it's a time to rest.
I love it. I listened to it this morning, and sometimes it's hard when you live and breathe this stuff every day and you have you read a lot of stuff, you talk, to a lot of people about all the things like so I think it's hard sometimes to, step out into the forest from the trees. Uh, Maybe helpfully, I spent last weekend with my mom and her husband, and they don't live and breathe this stuff at all. Like, they don't have any clue what it's like in corporate America, but even they can sense in their quiet retirement, like, even they can sense things are weird. Like, it's just weird out there. And that's what I loved the most about your podcast. I do encourage everybody to listen to it and share it outside your circle, outside your workplaces, outside your, because anybody can listen to it and relate. It sort of names the moment we're in. It's weird. It's tough. Change is hard and fast. And yeah, I thought it was really, really good because anybody can take something from it.
And the other thing about it, I'm just going to say is the students I teach at university, I wanted it for them as well because they're experiencing a really hard time right now with finding jobs as first level careers are changing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, um, I love what Opal just said too. A lot of the anxiety is compounded when family dynamics are clear that the generations are
Mhm.
riding on your shoulders. Completely agree. And Opal, that was probably in the back of my head. there's probably a little bit of foreshadowing as to what my holiday dinner was going to look like. But I hope that it's
Mm.
valuable. I hope you can share it. For me, it was just one little gift. If I could, I wish I could give everyone some gift. I can't, but hopefully it's one little gift that you can make that will make your holiday time at least an interesting conversation, if nothing else.
I love it.
Okay, all that being said, Jess, let's move on to our guest.
Mm. I'm so glad she landed here on this. We give options. We're always like filling the calendar here and there. And when I saw who our final guest of 2025 was, it couldn't be more perfect.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Now that
I
is
felt like I
good.
had to make an entrance too with your awesome glasses.
I
And
love that.
Yes. Oh my God. I love that so much.
guys, I've been wearing these glasses for like 2 days. It's like the bridge of my nose is like raw. I have to wear them. Come on. So good to be here.
Oh my gosh, welcome.
Thank you. I am so excited and also so humbled to be here. I've been following you all for years, as you know.
Yes.
So when I was asked to join, I was like, oh, I like feel
Sarika,
like I arrived.
we always forget to ask our guest when they come on for their one big thing. I don't remember if you shared one in the chat, but what are you thinking about as you sort of go into the holidays and wind up not just the week, but the year?
Well, this is technically supposed to be my last working day of the year, although I have a sense that that's probably not going to happen. For me, I think it's just this has been a wild year. It's been a lot of
Yeah.
cortisol spikes, if you will. So
Yeah.
I'm just really looking forward to doing nothing and relaxing. And I don't want to travel. Like we decided not to do any travel, not to do anything. I think the most we'll do is like do a staycation with the kids in DC one night. But
Yeah.
I honestly like just want to do a whole lot of nothing and hang
Sure.
with my kids, my dogs, my husband, try to stay out of like, as someone was writing about being in the sandwich generation, being like in the immigrant sandwich generation and the family dynamics that come with that. And I was like, I feel that so hard. So I already had my therapy this morning. So I have like all my things, all my skills are like right there, like remember
Yes.
to breathe. So I've got all that like ready to go. I thought ahead. But
Oh
yeah,
my
no,
God.
I'm probably just most looking forward to doing just relaxing and calming my body.
So
Yes.
tell us about you, where you're joining from,
Yeah.
your background, how you got into this weird community, what you do in your day job, what you do in your night job, all that stuff.
Okay. So I live in Virginia. I'm about 35, 40 minutes outside of Washington, D.C. I have been here my whole life. I went away to college 2 hours south to University of Virginia, and then I came right back, although I had really big dreams to move to New York. And my dad was like, that's gonna be a no. You need to come back. And then I was like, all right, I'll come back for like a year. And I never moved. I should have known. Um, I am the chief people officer at Vidyard. Vidyard's an AI enabled and video enabled go-to-market tool. I've been there. I just celebrated 3 years a couple weeks ago.
3 years already? Okay,
It's been
that
3 years.
flew.
I know.
That's
So
crazy.
when I met the both of you, I had I had just joined my first tech company by
Yeah.
way of a mutual connection, Lisa Sterling.
Yeah.
And so I think that's actually how I first learned of the two of you was from Lisa, from the previous work that you all were doing in your previous organization.
Yeah.
And then of
And
course
Lisa is amazing.
she's the best. She's
Yes.
awesome. She's always been such an exceptional mentor. That's how I got into tech. It's not how I got into HR, but yeah, I'm not a career HRist. I've done a whole lot of different things. Started in sales, marketing for Philip Morris, which is Marlboro Tobacco Company, and then found my way into management consulting for about 12 years here in the government area. I did a lot of government consulting, and then uh, it was that second startup that I went to that grew really fast, and that's how I found my way sort of accidentally into HR by way of strategic talent management and development because that's just what the need was for the business. And I'd been there for so long. I had built and scaled. I had hired so many people. We had so much young talent that we were thinking about how do we build and grow and develop them and differentiate ourselves from other organizations in the GovCon market. And so it just I sort of accidentally fell into it and I loved it. And I was like, wait, I really like this and I'm actually pretty good at it. And so I did that for a few years at that organization. And then Lisa became an external mentor of mine, actually, because I found her on LinkedIn and I stalked her, I messaged her and I was like, I love your background. I love that you were a product manager first and then you became the chief people officer at Ceridian. Like, how did you do that? Because most people are telling me that like I don't have any business being in HR because I haven't been in HR my whole career, and I don't agree. I just have a different perspective on how to do it. And she was the first person that really validated me, like with her own experience first, but then just really saw me and my capability. And we didn't know each other. Like I literally just cold messaged her on LinkedIn, which is the power of LinkedIn and community. And then we met a number of times over a course of a year or so. And then when she was joining this tech company, after she left Ceridian and after they did the IPO and everything, she was like, come join me, like, come do this with me. Like, I think you could do it, do what you did at, at your company and like do it on a much larger scale. And I was like, okay, let's do it.
I love
And then
that.
I
I
haven't looked.
love Bob's comment, hope for non-HR peeps. I
Yes. Hey,
like,
hey, Bob.
thank goodness for non-HR peeps. Like
Well,
this is
yeah,
when we're telling HR to unlearn
Yes.
everything you know and reimagine and redesign. Like, so that's actually pretty valuable growth mindset to come in with.
and
Yeah.
Sarika, I think you've always been kind of non-traditional,
In every
you know,
sense of the word. Yes.
when it comes to that. So if you wouldn't mind putting your glasses back on for a second, because I just have a personal question.
Under rules, never lose, never
Yes!
choose to bruise, who, do something to us, talk, go through us, girls want to us, wanna do us.
I love that you played it.
Yeah, Papa and Pump, close like Starsky and Hutch, stick.
So
Oh
I
my
just
God.
have, I
No,
just
we're
have
gonna
to
have to
ask
explain this.
how that fits into everything you just said.
So just so everybody's wondering what just happened, they asked me like, what music am I listening to right now? And I had like the most hilarious extremes. One was, well, my daughter's a competitive cheerleader, my 11-year-old daughter, and we listen really only to cheer music in the car. It's like it was actually in my Spotify Wrapped. I'm like, this is so embarrassing. It was either that or yes, someone just, I think Opal, you just said it, like, the rise of all the stuff that's
Yeah.
happening with Petty 50 Cent and
Yeah.
Diddy. Like, I've always been a hip hop girl, but like the old school hip hop, because Diddy and Tupac were probably more in my formative years. But I think I was in middle school around that time that their music started coming out. And it's always just the best hype music. Like
Yeah.
it's nostalgic because it takes me back to like my younger years when I was like more young and free and didn't have all the gray hair I have now and didn't have kids, so I felt a lot more free. And then even now, like it's so good. It's best hip hop. Like they don't make music like that anymore. So
Yeah.
yeah. And my kids know all about Diddy and Tupac. And now we're having to explain, like what happened to them. It's wild times. So
Look at
that's
Brooks here. She came out of the woodwork, Jess. I love how
I
certain
know.
things
I
get
know.
people like
Brooke is
Tegan came out of the
lurking and now
woodwork. Yeah, I love how people come out of the woodwork based on what's going on.
I know, that's awesome.
it was a time.
It was a time.
Okay, so what a time, speaking of a time, what a time to be joining a company like the one you're with. You said AI enabled. Were you AI forward prior to 3 years ago when you
No.
joined? Like all of this is a rush, right? Like this is
Yeah.
the gold rush, and you were already a go-to-market set of tools, and so you guys jumped on the moment. I want you to talk a little bit about that journey and about that journey, which includes bringing your workforce along. There's one thing to advance your product set, to keep up with the market, to respond to the moment. How do you keep the workforce coming on for that ride? Has that been part of your thinking and part of your
Oh
strategy?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, yes, we were not an AI. I mean, the product has really shifted actually since I've been there. And we probably started thinking about where we were layering AI into our capabilities. Probably started doing more of the work, I'd say 2 years ago, but there was some initial thinking. There was always an initial thinking about how do we automate an SDR or a BDR, like the world. We always kind of knew the world was going to go to that. And we had tried a couple of other elements of the product that that in testing and experimentation like didn't really pan out the way we wanted. So it really started there first, and I think because it started with the product, naturally our R&D team leaned into a lot of the new AI tooling and kind of testing and learning, experimenting first. But then as I was sort of observing and seeing so much of this starting to come out, I was like, well, we need to I need to think about that on the HR function, the people function. Like, what could we be doing differently? If they can do these things and be more efficient, like there's got to be a way. And so when I started thinking about it, it was probably early last summer. I mean, I have been playing around with tools, but I think early last summer, I had a particular issue, like pilot, or I guess a problem set where I'm like, okay, I know we've iterated on our onboarding a number of times since I started, but I have this, people ops coordinator who has so much more capability and wants to grow more of her career outside of just being a coordinator, like coordinating interview scheduling and coordinating onboarding scheduling. Like, that's not a fun job. And also, she had so much more energy and capability than that. I'm like, okay, well, I want to give her an opportunity to expand and grow her career. And also, I don't want anybody to have to spend a job like scheduling anything, because that's just not productive. It's important, but it's not the most productive, like
Unless you really
awe-inspiring.
enjoy scheduling tasks.
Yeah, unless you
But
you
yes,
do,
I
then
hear
like,
you.
I'll go for it. But I think that's what I started to dabble in. I'm like, oh, I wonder if there's a way that we could automate some of this and create a pre-boarding experience. What if people could start taking in all this information about the company that they were joining, like as soon as they signed their offer letter, rather than like day one, week one, they're just getting inundated with all this information that they're not going to even retain. And so I sort of fell into a tool by way of, like, again, the LinkedIn community. Someone was talking about a company called Kinfolk. So I reached out to the founder and I was like, hey, I'm exploring, AI tools. I'd love to pick your brain. Could we meet? I heard about you through so-and-so. And then I was like, look, I can't go right in. I don't have budget to buy like your whole tool, but what if you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Like, what if I had this like particular pilot we could do together? And if it works really well, like you could use this as like a case study, especially as you're trying to build your brand awareness in the US. I have a pretty big HR community, like I'll help you, you help me type of thing. And so that's the agreement we came to. And we started by thinking about how we would automate and create such an exceptional experience for new hires, from a pre-boarding to onboarding experience, while making it easier for our hiring managers. Because at that time, our hiring managers there was a lot of stuff built up, but our hiring managers were struggling with actually doing all the tasks. Like, they know it's important to get somebody onboarded, but it was just so many like administrative tasks that weren't as dynamic in the way that they were working. We had tried to automate it through our HRIS, but that only took us so far. And so I'm like, okay, let me make it easier for hiring managers. Let me give this person on my team a greater opportunity to grow her career and do more things that I think are more impactful for the new hire or for the employee experience. And then let's automate the things that people don't want to do. And that was what we did. And so we went from 55% task completion with on average with our managers to 97% task completion. And then we went from like a 78 or so percent new hire satisfaction, like from an onboarding experience, up to 98% within the first like 30 to 60 days.
Wow.
And that
Wow.
was just the iteration one of the product and of what we did. And we've iterated. But that is what opened the door for me. I'm like, okay, this is like something I need to take this as like my own case study to my CEO. Because originally when I had approached him, like, I really think we should be doing something more concerted and intentional around AI, enablement inside of our business. He's like, well, I don't know. I don't think so. Like, we're building it into the product. I think all the functional leaders are really handling that. Like, I think everybody's doing that in their own teams. And I'm like, I don't think so. Like, I don't get the sense that that's actually happening everywhere. And so, it took some time kind of talking through it. And then when I came up with this pilot and then I showed him the before and the after and the numbers, he was like, oh, okay, actually, this is really cool. Maybe you're onto something. So as we talked about it more as an ELT, we decided in March of this year, like, okay, this does need to be a company priority. And we were getting ready for our own company kickoff because our fiscal year kicks off in May. So then I was like, let me run it. Like, I think it should live within HR. I actually think it's a change management initiative, because it's going to be I would have to convince people to do this and not be scared, bring down their defenses and like, oh, but this is going to take my job. Like, I got to work with people. And so I think it should live with HR, but I'll create like an AI enablement cross-functional working group and bring people along, and we can go from there. And that's how it started. It was sort of let me just do this, and I had to prove it to him. And then we kicked it off with the company in April. We didn't do any kind of like we thought about it, like, all the other CEOs doing like code red and this is a mandate. And I'm like, but those aren't inspiring. Like, that doesn't inspire anybody to do any of this. Like, It's gotta be like, what's in it for them? Like, what's in it for me as an employee? So that's where we started. Yes.
Question.
I love this conversation so much. Okay.
So, Sarika, I recorded another podcast earlier today, and one of the questions that they asked me is what I learned in 2025 in the work that I've been doing around change, digital. I wasn't wearing this sweater, just for the record. But one of the things I said is I think with some of these AI things that the speed exposed, I said speed exposed fragility.
Mhm.
And what I meant by that is I think that a lot of people rushed to tools,
Yes.
but didn't actually change how they operate, how they govern, how they think about data, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So like so far in the part of this, the way you described this, like I love the speed part. What I'm curious about is what did you feel that it exposed? Because to me, it exposes silos of thinking.
Chaos.
Yeah,
Mm.
it exposed that I don't have data necessarily in the right places.
That's
So
right.
as much as I've always said, or as much as we always say we want to be anti-fragile, sometimes speed exposes fragility. And
That's right.
I would just love your thoughts on that.
You're completely spot on. And actually, you'll appreciate this. So it's back when it was Leap Gen, right? There was something that you said when you came in and you were doing the work with my organization at the time, and it has stuck with me ever since, is y- you need to design the process that works for your organization, whatever the experience, the process, the program. Like you design for what makes sense for your organization first. You don't design based off of the technology or the tools. Like that should just be the enabler of the experience that you're trying to create, because everybody's experience and what they're doing and their culture is always different. Technology should just be that enabler. And that, Jason, actually, and Jess, always stuck with me. I remember we were like at the dinner right after that, and we were talking about this at a dinner, and it's like, you know what, you're right. Like, why do we do that? And a lot of times we know the systems aren't as flexible. And so I sort of taken that in the same sort of vein with the stuff we've been doing with the AI transformation. It's the same thing. Like at the end of the day, it's not about technology and tools. That's part of it. It's about the people. It's about behaviors. It's about encouraging and inspiring people to reimagine the way that they have always thought work should and could be done. Right. And that's, I think, the power that AI and automation have brought forth, I think, this year. If people just sort of like sat and thought about that for a second, like there's so many more things that we can do now with the technology that has come out and the experiences that we've always desired to create for people that I don't think we've ever been able to do, just because the systems and the technology were never that flexible or customizable. And so that's a lot. So the way we approached it was not about technology and tools first. It was about creating excitement around around like what this innovation could bring to us and could do to help us in our work, whether it's me as an individual, us as an organization, us in the product, or for our customers. And I kind of made it funny and fun to begin with, really. It was just Laura like, oh, let's create this Slack channel and you vote on a fun name. And I started throwing, memes inside of there. And I'm like, oh, look, did you know that you could get ChatGPT to roast you? Like, here's my roast, which was actually like really mean. Everyone says that it's like that ChatGPT is very flattering. Like my ChatGPT was not flattering up front, but I shared it and it was very vulnerable. And we had such a great time with it. And people were laughing about it. I think that brought down people's walls a bit.
Yeah.
And then we did like an all hands or sorry, a Tuesday stand up that we do every other Tuesday with the company, where I talked about what it is that we were going to set out to do, like what AI transformation was going to be and what it wasn't going to be and how we were going to approach it. And I was very clear on the things that we wouldn't do at the front. I'm like, I'm not saying we're going to throw this into your performance review tomorrow. You're not going to get assessed tomorrow on whether you're a pro at building, agents and what. That's not what this is about. Like, I want you to be comfortable with it, but I am going to ask you questions about it. You are going to have to learn these skills. And at some point down the road, it will become part of your performance review. But let me tell you why. Like it's my job to make sure that I'm enabling you with the skills of the now, but also the future. Whether you stay at our organization or you go somewhere else, I take a lot of responsibility in that. My job and my team's job and our leadership's job is to enable you with those skills and to help you grow your careers in and outside of Vidyard. And so that was the approach that we took. That was more about the employee and what the employee was going to get out of it versus what the business was going to get, the return on our investment, or we're going to save money and efficiency. All those things will come short. But like that wasn't what I anchored on. And I also anchored on humor, which I think
Yeah.
is played right.
And Sarika, just really quickly, at the end of this podcast I recorded today, one of the things that they asked me, interestingly, sorry, I wasn't planning on talking about this, but they said, what do you think you'll be talking about by the end of 2026? That's going to be a surprise to you. And what I said was composable software. Uh,
Mm,
and I really think that's going to be a huge theme in 2026 is what you just said. Instead of trying to get you to work within a piece of software, how do I compose software that could be on a platform that I already have or
right.
not, that actually works for me, the way I want to work, the way that I need to work, the way that my business strategy drives outcomes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm really excited for 2026. I think it's going to be the year of the composable software, and I think it's going to change the space in a big, big way.
I hope so, because that's probably, I mean, that's like on the wish list for sure. That and that with like some element of consolidation. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, there's so many companies that have come out, so many tools, so many promising to do same things, and then and I also understand, especially for all leaders, but especially for HR leaders, like that's a lot. It's very overwhelming to determine like where do I invest, where do I not invest, what's going to make sense, what doesn't make sense, how do I think about integrate? I mean, we spent even our own organization over the last 3 years I've been here, we spent so much time bringing down our, reducing our tech spend and really consolidating and integrating and trying to think about how these tools can work within one another without having to feel like we got to keep buying things for this one thing that we needed to do. I just worry that what's now happened with this new AI era of technology is everyone's sort of, because there was this rush, right? To your point, there was this rush to buy tools and cut a bunch of headcount. And I have a lot of opinions on why that happens. I think investors and VCs and boards have a lot to do with that. Like they should be taking some level of accountability of that. But then I think that's created kind of gone down the path of some bad habits and unnecessary spend. And so I think there's a lot we have to think about in that regard in 26 as well. But if software could become more composable, that would be amazing, because I feel like I'm trying to do that. And I try to get a lot of these new tech founders I'm working with. I am keen on like working with newer tools just because you can influence the roadmap a little bit easier than obviously more established companies. And also it's fun because I get founders talking to each other and I'm like, could these systems talk to each other? Like, could they integrate? And how cool would that be? Because you could have a partnership and like, oh wow, a workforce operations agent working with a performance and engagement AI predictive. Like, wouldn't that be cool if they could talk to each other and integrate in our flow of work?
Yeah, Sarika, and that's one of the things that, and Jess, I'm done. I'm going to turn this over to you because I know you have a ton of questions. This the last thing I want to talk about here is that I've been talking a lot about this concept of not talking about features, but talking about flows. And I love what you just said about this piece of software could integrate with this piece of software. And what's funny to me is that multiple vendors in the last week have said, why would you want to do that? I'm like, why do you care? Like,
Well,
I
why
mean,
would you not? It's about value at the end of it. It's
well,
about
right. And
customer
I'm like, well,
value.
here's why. And then I explain it to them and they're like, oh, well, that makes a lot of sense. So instead of them, and nothing against software vendors, by the way, I mean, they're the heart of what makes us all tick. But
Absolutely.
instead of them dictating how we work helps them. I love what you said about working with early stage software companies where you can start to help them
Right.
understand that. I think it's going to be a big part of also 2026. Jess? Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, we have a fair, I'll just not, instead of typing my comment, we have a fair number of vendors in our community who listen to these conversations, and I work with a lot of them too. This is exactly why I tell them to stop pitching features and founders. That's great. That's credibility. We got to know it's there. We have to understand the capabilities, but you have to talk current market pain, your client's specific pain, and you have to have a point of view, because that's what gets you to the composability of a solution instead
Right.
of, look what we built. Like, I don't necessarily care what you built. I care if it's relevant for me and if it's something that can grow with me and integrate into my ecosystem, and that kind of thing. I hope that, so thinking of 2026, Trent Cotton, who's one of our community members, he was on the show a few weeks ago. He was the first out of several who've already come out asking for 2026 predictions. Jess, what are you going to be talking about? What's the theme? What's the big trend of 2026? And unfortunately, and I do mean this unfortunately, I think 2026 is going to be the rise of the super company, the attempted super company. And I think it's going to be a complete talent wasteland. I think we are going to rush to AI and automation. I think we are going to rush to bottom line value. And I think I think it's going to be a wasteland of talent we wish we would have kept, done something better with, redeployed more intelligently. And that's why your story and your approach is so important, because more companies need to slow down to go fast. I think it's also going to be a reskilling year, and companies that do this well and right are going to do what you've already been doing, which is offer lots and lots of on-ramps to the future state. This is what we're doing, where we're going, why, and how you can come on this journey, and give lots and lots of options. That's how we avoid this decimation of talent that I promise you're going to go begging for when you realize you actually needed some of these highly talented people that just needed reskilling. I think all of that's going to play out, unfortunately, in 2026. I think it's going to be messy. And leadership like yours, honestly, is going to be really, really important.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I tend to agree with you on the, talent wasteland and these companies moving too fast. You're already seeing some companies, I forget what the name of the company was, that cut basically their whole CSM team. It was like, I automated all of it, and then comes back like not even a year later. I was like, oh, that was a mistake. And now I got to hire, so many of these folks back. And I was like, well, right, because you first of all, the AI products and innovation wasn't far enough along to like truly replace headcount. Like, I haven't seen us be able to do that really. I mean, with the exception of scheduling, sure. Like, but I didn't if you notice, I didn't get rid of that talent or the role. I just changed the role.
Right.
I redesigned the role for where the moment we were in and what
Yeah,
the
I think
business
that's a
needed at
key
that time.
word, Sarika.
It's the
Redesign is
that's
key.
right.
And I think instead of slashing, I mean, sometimes you may have to slash and then rehire. The thing that's driving me crazy is when people rehire for the exact same job that they slashed instead of took the
Exactly.
time to redesign.
Exactly. And look, being on the other side of it, being in a SaaS company, like I get it. Like companies that have been around for a while, right? Like our company and other companies, like it's hard. You're layering in AI into a product that was already existing and selling, and you've got all this tech debt and operational debt, and then now you're trying to take the money and reinvest it into AI, and you're almost having to refine product market fit in a lot of ways. And also you're selling differently because you're selling value now instead of features. Features are, like you said, features are not as important. I don't care. Like, I'm like, yeah, everybody can do that. That's table stakes.
Right.
How is it
Yeah.
going to actually work in my business is what I need to understand. And I recognize that is a hard shift for a lot of sales folks. CSMs, like that's not where SaaS was before the downturn of SaaS a couple years ago. It was really easy to sell technology, right? I mean, easier than what it is now.
Yeah.
So then you have a lot of companies that have contracted, that haven't grown, or, and they're even saying 5, 10, 15% of growth isn't enough growth anymore. I mean, that's what's being touted out there by boards and investors and VCs. And that's not really helpful, by the way, for your companies that are actually in there, actually operating and executing the work day in and day out. So then what ends up happening is you have less resources because you had to cut headcount, not even because you needed to reinvest in AI, but because you shrunk. And obviously it's just P&L and it's managing your books. But then you have less people and you're trying to do this work of your product. And then you're also trying to enable people to learn this new innovation. And it's fine. You get like to phase one, which we've done really well, is like learning how to use LLMs, knowing how to prompt, knowing when to use it, use cases, like things like that. But when you get into like really redefining workflows and like processes and redesigning the experience for customers, for your internal employees, that takes some real time and thought. And it's hard to do that when you're already coming from behind. And I think that's the reality that so many not even SaaS companies, so many companies in general are dealing with. And then the reality for someone like myself who's trying to lead this transformation internally is it's inspiring people to take the time to do that. It's like, I know you have a lot on your plate, and I know these things are important because they're what's going to generate revenue for the business, but you also you can't keep telling me you don't have enough resources. I need you to rethink the way that you're working. I can't necessarily go hire a bunch of like AI automation engineers. And so how do we enable people? And also, quite frankly, you want your people to understand how to build these things on their own because there's so many cool tools out there, like what we're building in Vidyard with integrations on how we do these go-to market flows. But even Zapier is doing a ton with automation. Like there's tools out there where you can build this on your own. You just need the time to think, and that's what we don't.
Sarika,
Time to
Sarika, a
think.
question for you on that, because one of the things that I think is happening right now is I think middle management is getting caught in the middle of this. They're getting
Right.
compressed, where middle managers are waiting for communication from the top saying, do it this way. And that's a CIO or someone rolling out Copilot or Gemini, and then all of a sudden there's people in organizations who are trying to have agency and trying to try new things, but their managers aren't really sure what to be able to do. So they're kind of squashing it. And I really think what's important in an AI world right now is that this is not going to be a tops down thing. It's got to be a bottoms up thing, or at least a meet in the middle thing. But it's not us waiting for the top to do something. And I'm curious as to
Okay.
your thoughts on that, because I think a lot of middle managers are ill prepared to be able to demonstrate like you're doing and support initiatives that their employees are actually reinventing work, and they're blocking it.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that. And I actually have seen in organizations where I have friends where it is even the folks at the top that are almost blocking it. Like they want it, but then they're also blocking it because they're fearful of that they don't understand it. Or maybe I've heard this from folks like, well, I'm older in my career. Like I don't have time to learn this new innovation. Like I've led this way and it's always been successful. And I'm like, right, but the world has changed. So I think and to me it's always rooted in fear, and this like inability to like this fear to change, and failing at it, quite frankly. I do agree that 100% middle management ends up getting sort of squished in there. But this is like what I encourage folks, even in my own organization, is like you don't we give a lot of permission to experiment, to test, to learn. We've given access to a lot of different tools because we want people. I'm like, but where I do still see a gap that no one ever gave me permission to do this when I was in middle management, mind you, is the curiosity and the desire to just learn and to try it and lean into it. I don't know that I believe that someone should give you the permission to do that. Like you should always feel like you have the permission to do that. And honestly, quite frankly, even if someone didn't give me the permission, you're not going to stop me from learning something new and being curious and asking questions. I think that's why I got to this point in my career where when I did was because I didn't wait for someone to tell me what to do or how to do it or not to do it. I just did it because
Yeah,
someone.
no, I agree. Jess, in 2026, we have to go drinking with Dorothy. Just you and I and she. Yeah, I don't know how we're gonna do it. We're gonna have to find it. We're gonna have to find a way. So, like,
Where and why? She
Where,
wants to
why?
know details. I will publish an agenda.
well, because every week she says brilliant stuff, and I don't get it. I can't, like, it's too hard over chat, or maybe we just need to have a Dorothy corner in
Yeah.
every episode where she's just constantly out there. So what she said is, she said, if middle management isn't prepared, that's a leadership issue. And
Absolutely.
I agree with her, but at the same time, whose job is it to tell middle management, this is why I always have questions for Dorothy. Is she saying that middle management isn't good and therefore they're not trying to be leaders, or they should be waiting for someone from leadership to tell them to work different? And that's, for me, I think if we're waiting for someone above, I think we're screwed.
We're screwed.
And
100%
that's
we're
why
screwed.
I think it's a top down. With AI enablement and all this, like it's top down, bottom up. There has to be a stated expectation. This is where the company is going. This is what we need and expect from the workforce. Here's how to get it and how to help yourself. Like that has to be part of leadership strategy and messaging. And then you have to create the culture that makes that true. And then bottom up, yes, of course you want people with agency and discipline who want to self-develop. Like you've got, but it can't be one or the other. It's got to be both. And
You
most
need the
often
top.
it's a leadership gap, and then a culture that can actually support those things in actual practice.
Yeah.
And just really quickly, I mean, sorry, Sarika, like Dorothy said, it usually about budget and culture. Totally agree.
Yeah.
Rachel said experiencing too many opinions who need to be present to make decisions means
Yeah.
no decisions. And that's based on size of the company, which is something that's a fascinating discussion, I think, for 2026 as well. Jessica said, and budget doesn't have to spend necessarily, but budgeting time.
Yeah.
All of this stuff, I agree. But at the same time, I'm not saying this to Dorothy. Like, these all sound like excuses.
Right.
I mean, they are excuses,
And it's
and they're
leadership's
exhausted.
job
Sharon,
to remove those excuses.
right? Sharon said they're exhausted, but how do we, as humans, not keep work sucking and we get rid of those excuses? Because I agree, those are all hurdles. Maybe I should call them
Yeah.
hurdles, not excuses.
Yeah, barriers. Yeah, but
They're
that's the
bar-
job
yeah.
of leadership to identify and remove barriers that prevent that kind of culture and progress from
And
happening.
if they don't, what do?
Then there's no place for you in that organization. If that's the stated mission and where you're going, like you've clarity is respect. This is where we're going. This is how we get there. And this is what that requires of you. Then I can opt in or out based on what I'm able to contribute, if that feels like an environment I belong in, and give me the tools and the culture and the mentorship and all of those things.
See, this is why I love Dorothy. I agree, Dorothy, not all voices carry the same weight, but we can't keep acting as a number. And I know that's easy for me to say, and I realize it's me talking, but I think if employees just show up and act as a number and don't at least voice.
But that's what's happened because you have all generations now. I don't even think it's just the Generation Z that are just like, cool. So I bought into this whole like notion of like corporate America, and I'm gonna give into I'm gonna prioritize work, and promotions will come and raises will come, and the company's gonna take care of me because I've been loyal. And then look what happened. The last 2 years have been layoff after layoff after layoff, and no one trusts the systems anymore. Nobody trusts companies anymore. They don't trust don't trust HR. They don't trust their leadership. And I'm even saying this as someone where like I'm pretty damn transparent and I'm pretty direct, and like, I definitely in my own organization put myself out there. But even then I have people that are like, well, I don't, but I don't trust what's going on. And like, why should I, I'm going to prioritize myself and my family, and I'll do the work that I have to do to, like I'll do my 40 hours and then I'm checking out. But that's hard, right? Because I'm like, but then you're also asking me or the organization to give in and to do all these things for you. And we're creating that environment and you're not leaning in. And it's going to take, so it's hard to explain. Like I don't know what this dynamic is. I don't know if it's a game of chicken or who's going to give in for, I don't know. But what I do know is people are fighting back, and less and less people are desiring to give into this, I don't know, like this societal expectation or what I was always taught from the generation that came before me. I'm a geriatric millennial. So like I'm the top end, and I am influenced by the generation that came before me. And it was like work hard, lean in, do the things, and it'll come. Did it always come when I felt like it should have come? No. But that was just sort of the game you played. And people just don't want to do it anymore. They're not going to play games. But I also think there's a balancing act where I think there are places and instances where employees are expecting too much. Like at the end of the day, this is a for-profit organization. We do live in a capitalistic society. Like I don't make those rules. That is what it is. And you're gonna have to work, and you're gonna have to put in the extra effort if you want us to see you, if you want us to continue to enable you. And like I'm gonna give to you, but if you're not gonna take what we're also offering and the environment that we're building and the culture that we're giving you this opportunity to test and learn, and you're not gonna lean into that, I don't know what to do for you, because at a certain point you should opt out. But what I will tell you is you're going to have a hard time finding another organization that's going to offer you something different. Like, it's going to take you putting in the effort at some point. And you're seeing less and less people opt out because they're scared. They don't want to take that risk. Jobs aren't as plentiful, harder to find job, right? And then it gets into a whole other topic of recruitment.
And I get what the thread is, the comment about not everybody has an equal say. We don't all have the same access to power and privilege. We do. One thing is true, and it's what Opal said. I can't print my own money, so I need it. And most employers still need people with time and talent. Like you're still renting time and talent from people. That's the value exchange. That's the conversation. And it works in a capitalist society. Whether I increase my rates or what you're willing to pay, this is still a value exchange. And we all participate in that conversation. And I do think that you're right. I think some people are saying, that's not worth my peace of mind right now, or I need to know what I'm signing up for, what I'm getting into, to know if this is going to be worth it for me. I think that's also an interesting dynamic that's happening in this new world of work that is becoming more interesting by the day.
I really want to keep this discussion going. I love it. And I hope that we can continue it in 2026. Jess and
Ah,
Sarika, you come back on, because I think it's a huge discussion. Like when Dorothy said I'm a white male, like I don't want to apologize for being a white male.
right.
Who I am.
True.
Uh,
And this
and,
is, yeah.
and I want to understand, and I want to learn, and I want to figure out how to make it better.
Yeah,
So
we need to do less of that. I've seen too much of that. I know people are angry on both sides, but it's like, yeah, I can tell that you're a white male, but you're also a white male who is like, but I want to learn. I want to lean in. I'm here. I'm like very curious. I want to like meet you halfway. And I know there's some that are not like that, but I think we also have to stop defining how we interact and choose to have like tough conversations just because there are some who are unwilling. Because Jason, there's many like you who are willing. And this whole notion of like, well, you're a white male, so you could never understand the plight. I just think that's bullshit. And we need to move away from that. We need to start having more of the difficult conversations and meeting in forums like this and trying to problem solve and solution together rather than saying that, and not that Dorothy, that's what you were saying. But I've seen others do that and attack on LinkedIn, and it's not the vibe for 2026 that I want.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate, unfortunately, 2025 required us to sort of point out some stark realities.
Yep.
And I appreciate Dorothy for doing that along with many, many of us in our space, in our community. It was not a kind year to speak
it's
truth to
not.
power and to name the systems and all of that stuff. But this is like communities and conversations like this is how we move forward in a constructive way. Like what a
hey,
time.
Jess, I want to try something because we're out of time.
We are out of time.
Sarika, thank you for being here.
Thank
Love
you so
you.
much for
Happy
having me.
holidays. Jess,
Thank you.
happy holidays.